another Rogue News, Rogue in the Morning. And today, V is not with us. Don't turn it off. I know some of you are going to be tempted to do that, but I have a backup. I have a very special guest joining. She's been with us before. Very excited to have Tatiana Moroz with us today. She is not only an artist, she's also a cryptocurrency enthusiast. She travels the world. She's just really unlimited talent. So Tatiana, welcome to Rogue News. How are you?
Thanks for having me. Very excited to be here today. Talk some smack on the state. I don't know. There's a lot of things going on in the world, so I'm glad that you connected with me. I've been posting a lot of things on Facebook, and it's just been it's been very, very frustrating to say the least. But I don't know. I'm keeping in good spirits. How about you?
Yeah, I know. We were chatting a little bit before we went live and just talking about like this past week and a half, 2 weeks. I have just in small conversations with people and people that really like when I look at it in terms of their mental fortitude and everything that they've accomplished. And, you know, even those individuals are having a little bit of like, you know, strangeness right now regarding their mental health. And I'm hearing this on a consistent basis that I think that in terms of the lockdown, everything that's going on with COVID, I know you're on the East Coast, so I wanted to share, you know, your perspective on your thoughts and what's going on. I know you've probably been restricted on some of your travel, and typically you're like flying all over the place. It's hard to keep up with you.
Yeah, I really, really do love travel. I got to go to Pork Fest earlier this year up in New Hampshire, so in the White Mountains. That was really nice. And then I also got to go to California just for a week, and there was some stressful things happen, but for the most part, it was really fun. I had some really nice friends with me, and, you know, they're saying that a lot of the people that are dying of COVID, which, I mean, we could endlessly speculate what is going on with this disease, which none of us know, but there's a significant vitamin D deficiency for people in this country, like big time. I mean, over 70% of the country is vitamin D deficient, and that seems to really keep away the COVID. So I've been staying in the sun and trying to get, you know, as healthy as I possibly can. New Jersey sucks. I think it's toast. New York City, I think, is kind of done. I read a post by James Altucher the other day, and, you know, a friend wrote me, oh, don't worry, you know, Amazon is going to put all this money into not into Bitcoin, all this money into New York. And that doesn't really bring me much comfort. I like my Amazon. I like my Amazon Prime. I feel like, I mean, this is very anti-capitalist, but I've had just about enough of Jeff Bezos benefiting from this. You know, he's got enough with him. I miss the regular stores. And, you know, it's never made me more conscious of how important it is to buy local. And now, because I wasn't really that conscious about it because I was running around, I wanted the convenience of Amazon. Now I'm realizing, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to buy things locally anyway. I mean, where do you buy these things? What happens, you know? So it's definitely been a trip seeing New York kind of crumble and having to think about leaving the state, because if the state is a hot mess and the property taxes are just going to go up and the government is corrupt and they're not opening it. I mean, there's a gym here, this guy Ian and Attila's Gym or whatever in Belmar, New Jersey. Very weird spelling. But anyway, they're fining them $15,000 a day. And so their bill is already $130,000. And who the effing hell said that we could do that? This is New Jersey. Like, these guys need to get beaten up a little bit or roughed up or something. I mean, joking aside, chill out, NSA and Big Brother, who watches every single thing that we're all saying constantly. I feel like my tinfoil hat needs to be brushed off and worn with great pride.
Well, Tatiana, you said a lot of great things there, and let's start with the aspect in regards to individual health. And I think for the most part, that is something that COVID has truly exposed is in regards to the declining healthcare system in our country. And then you multiply that with the individual aspect and how important it is. And to me, that was one of the first things in regards to the misconceptions in regarding COVID was the lack of conversation, if you will, in regards to building our immune system. Some of the simple things that you've stated out as far as boosting your vitamin D and the vitamin D deficiency, instead of these draconian measures that have been put forth that the social distancing, the ideas around you need to wear your mask, at anywhere you go, with family, with friends. And there's the lack of conversation. Instead of all these state governors and even the administration, getting on and talking about updated numbers, just selling the fear, selling the panic. How about get some health experts on there and say, hey, you know what, by the way, you probably should start drinking more water. You probably should start, exercising, if it even is your home. And by the way, we're gonna mandatory ship every household in America some vitamin C, vitamin D, some zinc, because right now, but we're not hearing that conversation. All we're hearing is
that would be the fastest way to cure COVID, I think, is just to send people those 3 things. I mean, I'm not a doctor. Relax. People that are afraid of the COVID, we're not actually giving medical advice. But I think that would really significantly help a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah, just some common sense, along with the wash your hands and use precaution. And I'm always sensitive around people because I understand some people naturally have a compromised immune system. But instead of doing those things that are really common sense, we get more of around the, hey, you know what, we may need to renew the lockdown. We need to shut down gyms when in fact we should be encouraging people right now to get to the gyms and exercise. That's the level of stupidity. And what drives me nuts is now we have this whole public plugged into this idea that government is going to provide a solution. And I know you probably have a lot to say about that, Tatiana, that people are waiting at home for the government to come up with the solutions to COVID.
I don't know. I was just writing a song this morning, and I've got a new record coming out, and a lot of the record is like love songs and stuff. But on the other hand, there is sort of a call to action. I mean, people need to stop obeying. It's absurd. I mean, we all have common sense. My friend is sending me a mask that has little diamonds on it, and she goes in. It's literally just a mesh mask of just diamonds, like fake diamonds or whatever. And she goes into a store and like, oh, nice mask. I mean, this is a complete farce. So why are we playing along? I'm not going to. I don't even think it requires a revolution. But I do think that maybe some people's minds are a little bit closed. I don't know. Like, the mask thing is weird too, right? Because I get that some people want me to wear a mask, and I'll wear it to be polite. But why is that the default? I believe that the mask is a filthy, dirty thing on your face, and it symbolizes slavery. 2 things that I find to be very repugnant. But the social acceptable measure is that, clearly the most safe thing that you could do is wear the mask. And it's like, safe for who? I don't think it's safe for either party. So it gets really, really difficult to be like, I will still do the mask, right? Because I know what the social graces are, but it's really frustrating. And I think that it's meant to be. So I don't know. I just want to see people be logical. Okay, you like the mask, but do you have to wear the mask when you're running outside alone, all alone for miles to be in the boiling heat? I mean, you have to be a moron in order to do that. Where is the common sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I'm done.
Okay. No, very well said. And in regards to the mask and where, I've stood my ground is just in the terms of that it really falls back to the individual. And it's amazing that government has had the ability to really, influence the media, and then the media influence the public to carry on when people are stating that, hey, it should still be an individual choice. It's individual liberty, individual freedom. And then we hear all this propaganda coming out that it's unpatriotic not to wear a mask, or you're not a good citizen if you don't do these things. All the conditioning that's taking place, and if people haven't figured it out by now, they need to be ready for the next phase that's coming out. And to me, Tatiana, that's more or less around this idea that there's going to be a vaccine manufactured for COVID, when in fact we probably don't need one. So for those people who are following the compliance line, just be ready, because that's the next step. We're already seeing at major universities now where they're stating that in order to return to college, you have to take the flu vaccine, which by far has been known. The Department of Defense did a study in regards to it. In fact, there is a lawsuit right now that Kennedy has launched. Kennedy Jr. has launched with the Children's Health Defense Fund, where he's actually suing a couple universities in regards to that, because that Department of Defense study showed that with the annual flu vaccine, that it does have a tendency and can complicate some things, with COVID, but yet we have institutions that are mandating this type of health thing, Tatiana. It's just nuts. It really is.
Well, yeah, and now they're sending out drones and giving out $10,000 fines to people in Australia. I mean, have they lost their minds? They're making mandatory vaccines in places. I mean, even in places that you would never think that it would get that crazy, that bad. I mean, I just don't understand why nobody thinks that this seems a little bit odd. I mean, doesn't this seem a little strange, guys? There's so many other things that kill us. And now all these things are being implemented. They're getting rid of we have a national chain shortage. Oh, I don't know why. Like, what does that even mean? A chain shortage. And they're trying to put in, digital currencies, which of course I'm a huge supporter of Bitcoin. And I'm thinking I got to pick up some Monero and some other kinds of different coins, because I mean, I'm not very confident in the way that the money is being managed in this country right now. And that's kind of being slipped in while they're talking about how you have to fight your neighbor because one guy has a mask and one guy doesn't. We're going to kill each other with a stupid little germ that'll maybe fly over, and 99.08% of us are going to survive. We have to kill each other. But meanwhile, they're printing trillions of dollars. Trillions. And who's going to pay for all this stuff? My mom, she has a 3-family home that she is in as an investment property. It's supposed to, pay for her old age. And one of the ladies isn't paying. And now Murphy has extended it, so he's not going to kick out this lady. So basically, for at least 9 months of this year, my mom's not going to get that money. How is she supposed to pay for her property taxes, which will go up? How is she supposed to pay for the mortgage on the house? I mean, she'll never see that money, even if they kick out the lady, which I'm sorry, the lady's poor, but not for nothing. Her income didn't change. She's not leaving. There's no reason why she shouldn't be able to pay rent. It's not like it's an unexpected thing, but I feel like the whole entire middle class is being wiped out, potentially systematically, and I'm not okay with that.
No, that's very well said. In fact, when you take a look at the wealth disparity, in our country, you've seen numerous statistics stating that, through this lockdown, you see the billionaires, right? The Amazons, these corporations, and all their wealth has done is just expand, by tremendous amounts. And at the same time, you take a look at the middle class and it just continues to be destroyed. The monetary policy, and again, I said this back in March when we went through this entire, hey, this idea around the lockdown, everything, I said, just be careful. I said, because if you start compromising to this, the government, just like 9/11, is going to take full advantage. You're going to institute these draconian things. And there were so many different agendas with COVID, and definitely the monetary aspect was one of those. And that was that, hey, you know what, for the most part, even since back to Bush to, Obama and now Trump, we've had this thought process, Tatiana, that the stock market is the pulse of the economy. And it's never been more disconnected from the real economy of what's truly happening right now with small businesses closing, the Fed and their intervention policies of printing this stimulus. And where's it landing? It's not landing at the street. It's like a repeat process. And it's a challenge, Tatiana, not to lose faith in the public, in the American public, because so many are still plugged into getting their news and information from the mainstream media instead of alternate news and channels where they're going to hear conversations like what we're having.
Hey, let me ask you a question. All right. So, obviously CNN, Fox, blah, blah, they're all crap. But I really like Tucker Carlson. I got to say, he's always pretty good. I mean, what do you think? Is he a puppet person? I feel like a lot of them are. Maybe he is because they've allowed him to get so popular. Maybe he gives you, a libertarian perspective within a prescribed home. But I think that he's been doing a very good job as far as the mainstream goes. But
yeah,
other than that, it's trash.
Tucker's probably one of the most, I won't say balanced. I don't think that's a correct word, but I would say that he really takes a look at these issues and he takes a look at both sides of the argument, and then he kind of finds where he's going to go with it, and then he stands ground and he'll have conversation. For the most part, I think that I've agreed with the majority of what he has said and what he's reporting. I did counter like some of the narrative that he has in regards to the drug wars, in regards to cannabis, as well as the vaccine. And then ideally, like, I don't think for any of the legacy media systems in regards to U.S. foreign policy, they all kind of, champion the idea that we always have a boogeyman out there to fight, the terrorists, the Russians, the Chinese, everyone's coming to get to us. But I would love to get to a point, I think I heard this on Joe Rogan, is I would love to get my news and information without all the bipartisan politics. And I know it's so difficult to do that, but never in my adult life have I ever been so disconnected from American politics. I just think small minds talk it. I really do, because it's all just a ploy. And I know a lot of people had so much positive things for Trump, and he was going to take down the Fed. He was going to end the wars. He was going to balance the federal budget. And I've been consistent on calling him out for what it is, and either he's culpable in this, and that's why they needed someone, a reality TV star, to kind of play along with this fake left-right paradigm, and he's playing a role right now in terms of, say how he ever puts out the tweets that really like is like the wrong message, or it sets people off. He has very good timing at doing that. And I'm just wondering if he's not really just at this point more of like a manager controlled opposition.
Yeah, I've thought about that the whole entire time. When I saw what happened with Ron Paul in 2012, I just don't believe in the elections. I think that all we do is just sit around, talk about all the choices of crap versus crap, and when they kept changing the rules in order to keep Ron Paul from being the nominee, I mean, how can you play a game and consider it real if they're changing it? I mean, it's a rigged game. Give up. Who cares? So I've really enjoyed not being that interested in the political process, but I have to say that I kind of like Trump in certain ways. He says certain things that are interesting. He kind of shakes it up. But at the end of the day, he's still growing government. Did you know, actually, Michael Bolden from the 10th Amendment Center, who I love, he's been on the Tatiana show before, and he told me that Trump has actually been the worst on gun rights out of all of the other presidents. Did you know that? I didn't. Sucks. So, here we are, and he's saying, oh, I'm the Republican guy. And you've got all these Republicans who would potentially be pushing back at these great big government overreaches, but they think that Daddy Trump is their savior. And maybe he is. Maybe he's a good guy. I've heard some, good things about him, actually, like from people who know him personally. Maybe he's the real deal. And I like to believe that he is, fighting for our rights, but, he's not that great. Let out Ross Ulbricht, let out Snowden, pardon Assange #1. That poor slob. Freedom of the press. Come on. This country is a disaster, and he's had a lot of opportunities to do better. And I know people will say, oh, follow the plan and cue this and whatever. I don't really care. Assange is missing his child grow up. He's those cute little children. They're so beautiful. And he's like rotting and like eating crap and stuff. This is absurd. It's very barbaric. I think that there's a lot of interesting news coming out about, Pizzagate-esque topics, right? So Epstein and a lot of these child sex trafficking rings, I think that that's a real thing that's being submerged. But as time has gone on, I've always paid attention to propaganda. And lately I've been watching these different documentaries that tell me about, Operation Mockingbird and Paperclip, and how they would bring over these scientists from Nazi times. And now, the idea that this is all a grand design becomes less crazy the more you go down the rabbit hole. And the way that this has been executed, the way that it's torn people apart. If there is a evil overlord, bravo, guys. Like, they did a great job. You got to give them credit. They tore us apart, but I believe in the human spirit. And I think we'll get through it. I've been making some music lately and a lot of different content. I talked to this lady, Lily Tang Williams, from China, and she was telling me that she actually likes Trump. And so that was kind of an interesting perspective. She did say, because I was like, is China really that bad? And then I'm like, yeah, they're really that bad because their social credit system is just over and people just have to obey. Whereas here, ours is still monitoring us, but we have the illusion of freedom, which I kind of prefer. In certain ways, the freedom is codified, so we have to somewhat play by the rules. So, I mean, if I'm going to be on anybody's side, I'm on Team America. But I like the things that made me do my second album cover of Love and Liberty, where I painted this guitar on the back of me, because what it originally stood for, is something really truly beautiful that I think unites us all, right? The ideas of freedom and liberty and justice for all, and come to America, work, get ahead, don't give all your money to some a-hole in charge. It's just giving it away to everybody and just mainly their pockets and their friends. I mean, is it going to die? I mean, I don't know. Maybe America's just going to fall.
Yeah. And I'm going to be, I've said this numerous times on the shows and everything, but I think there's a disconnect there in terms of patriotism and love of country and all those things, because I would argue that like you can be patriotic and hate the government, because I've said numerous times on this broadcast that I really think the federal government, for the most part, doesn't report to the American people anymore. I think there's a huge disconnect there. And the government has become this own entity where they're more aligned around special interests, corruption, fraud, corporations. And what my fear is, Tatiana, is that I truly believe that we're missing a very unique opportunity here. If we could convince enough people that, hey, look, under the current two-party system, there's no political solution to America. And I emphatically believe that there's no political solution. It's flat out scary to think that Donald Trump and Joe Biden are the two top contenders to lead our country. It's just scary and kind of weird at the same time. And where I'm going with the conversation, I think that we have a unique opportunity here if we can, reach out to enough people, spread the word that we have an opportunity here to disrupt not only the financial system and leverage cryptocurrency, something that you've been covering and talking about for so many years, Tatiana, and then also disrupt the federal government in terms of making a change. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that there are so many factors at play that, my instinct is to try and control that outcome, right? But I don't think any of us have any control over it. All we can do, and in order to not really be overwhelmed, because that's the other thing, right? We've all been fighting for freedom for so long, and this is our chance. But this is like a wild, wild ride, and we just have to be right within ourselves and try and do the best as to be honest and to live with integrity and to treat others how we want to be treated and just do what we think is right, and also never be so dogmatic that we can't at least hear another person's opinion without losing our shit. Now, excuse the language, but
no, you're fine. You can
sometimes like I really, and I'm saying this out loud because I need to remember it myself. It's very, very hard to be tolerant and to remember that, 6 months ago, while you may have had some political disagreements, the maskies versus the non-maskies, I don't even know what they're called. We were friends, we were family, we were united in some kind of fashion. And just because some puppet masters decide to release essentially a man-made virus, right? I mean, that you can't patent it unless it's been man-made. If it occurs in nature, you can't patent it. So, I don't know if people saw the Plandemic movie, by the way, but that was really good. Anyway, the point is that let's just remember who we are. I mean, I hate going to the store and you see the person and they've got their mask and they got another mask and they got a plastic screen and it's such BS and you don't even look at them as it is because they're already just your server, right? And now they're even like more dehumanized. It's disgusting. I'm not a fan. And I would rather risk getting that disease and live a little. I don't know. Like we can't just be in a little box anymore.
Yeah, I completely agree. I love what is it, David Rodriguez? Do you know David Rodriguez? Is that his last name? He does a lot of work. He's I love his messaging regarding free hugs. Have you seen his free hugs and some of the things he's been doing out in Cali
No,
lately?
but
But
some
he has
people
this
don't like hugs, by the way.
spread
Don't,
love,
no,
not
no, no.
fear.
Not everybody wants hugs. Actually, just to be fair, just guys, read the room. If a chick doesn't look like she wants a hug from you, you don't need to hug her. But continuing on.
No. They have like signs, like if people want to voluntarily,
Okay.
walk up, and that's
All right.
free hug, spread love, not fear, and it kind of chimes into what you're saying is that focusing around humanity, right? Humanity and the best outcome. Let's spend a little bit of time talking about like some of the music that you have going on. You said you have a new album coming out. And then also just what else is on your radar and your thoughts on cryptocurrency.
Okay, well, my thoughts on cryptocurrency, we could just get that right out of the way. Buy some now. Get it. And also, I'm a fan of Voltoro. I got to get their affiliate link going. But either way, my friend Josh Shigala from Voltoro, he's got gold and Bitcoin pairings. So if you want to ride the wave of either one of those, you can go in and out of them really easily, and they're legit and not sketchy. So yeah, I mean, long term, I think Bitcoin's going to go up. I feel positive about some of the other coins as well. Yeah, so I'm writing a new record. It's pretty much done in terms of being written, and I'm going into the studio over the next few weeks. We're going to start recording it. I'd really like to document the process. So I'm just thinking about what the best way to do that is and have it still be, effective. I've been doing a lot of Tatiana shows and then also Proof of Love. So that's been a lot of fun. We've been talking about just emotional development and I don't know, girly stuff, I guess. But it's a nice change because all I ever do is listen to, the world's going to end, and the police stay, and the drug war, and all these poor Slavs getting murdered everywhere. Enough. Life has to be a balance of fun. And I would actually suggest that people turn off their television sets, except for when this show is on or when my podcasts are on or when somebody cool is on. But for the most part, I mean, like, let it go, dudes. Go outside. I have a real problem doing that myself, right? I mean, I'm attached to 5 different devices at all times, but I don't know. It's the last couple of weeks of summer, and I'm thinking maybe I'll go camping or I'll do something where I just am a little bit less dependent on knowing that little thrill. Like, this person got into this fight and that. Like a little juice of like, I'm mad. You kind of like that feeling. It's like itching. You ever scratch an itch and it's like, it hurts so bad, but you kind of love it so much at the same time. That's what we're engaging in when we're on social media. And then get off of here. I'm trying to get off the plantation. You should too.
I know. I've been venturing out quite often as well. That's why I've been working out and doing all those kinds of fun things. When you go to write music and create your songs, as an artist, what leads you to that song? Is it your current thoughts? Give us a little bit of perspective as to what inspires you to create music and how that works.
Well, I've been writing since I was a kid. Well, I'm not a kid, but since I was really young, and I feel like usually I'm upset about something, or I'm just sitting around and something comes out. And it usually is guided either by my own personal experience or a variation of my personal experience seen through a prism of maybe a different perspective. So it might be a lesson that I have to tell myself, or it might be something that I'm trying to tell somebody else, or something that I think that they're saying to me. It could also be an inspiration from an outside source. So something that's happening to a friend or something that I see in the news. Obviously some of my songs are influenced by different activism themes. So Playing the Cards was an anti-war song that I wrote, and I wrote it because of a friend of mine, Trevor. His father, he actually built handmade guitars, and he was dying from cancer caused by Agent Orange. And it's quite literal, actually, the song. But I mean, sometimes in the most, well, actually, I would say that was kind of like an extraordinary experience making that friendship. But you can really get a lot of juice from just everyday life, especially right now. Like I said, today I started writing a song about, the idea of normal. And how do you write something like that without it being something that becomes passé or, utilized for a different vision than what you had originally expected it to be, you know? I have to be kind of careful now with my message if I want to be pointed with my objectives to unify people, you know?
Yeah, I had to add myself back to the stream. Sometimes it's hard when you're trying to have conversation. You're trying to also manage the screens as you're going through it. But yeah, no, that's very interesting. Yeah, and I completely agree. You know, that's why I love music. I like any time that I can, I'm listening to music, and the frequency is just really kind of helps in terms of the mental health that we're going through. Tatiana, before we wrap up this podcast, it's been great catching up with you. And then any other thoughts that you'd like to share with our Rogue News listeners?
Not really. I mean, you know, come check out my stuff if you like what I've had to say. We just redid my website, so TatianaMoroz.com. You go to thetatianashow.com. Also to proofoflovecast.com. And I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Brave Browser. They've been really awesome. We've been doing some ads together, and I don't know, you guys have like Brave implemented on your back end?
Not at this point, but you know,
I'll make an introduction.
We should. Yeah, that would be very cool.
They're a cool team over there. Yeah, and that's the other thing. Like, privacy is important. There's some things that you don't have control over, but your privacy you have at least a little bit control over by using things like DuckDuckGo or Runaroo, or, you know, the Brave browser. You can earn crypto. You know, you can earn crypto with Lolly. You can do all kinds of things that don't necessarily require money, and that can help get you off of the system.
Very cool. Very cool. So for all people tuning in, thank you for doing so. We had our loyal audience as well. And I think I saw Adam Williams jump in. So Adam, thank you.
Hey, Adam.
Yeah, he may be gone by now. He's always moving and shaking. So, but for our listeners, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and also jump over to Tatiana's website, again, TatianaMoroz.com, where you can find all of her different information that's connected there. And then also don't forget, support the Gorilla for his Patreon account. And also our sponsor for our show is mycbdedibles.com. Tatiana, it's been great catching up with you. It's always a lot of fun, and let's do this again soon.
Same here. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.